Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M,
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Obi and I just having random conversations. Welcome into the program. David Nuño, Olin Buchanan here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. And Obi, in my almost 49 years of life, in my opinion, 97% of the time, when someone says it's allergies, it's a cold. Except for you, of course. But everybody else, I feel like that's cold, so people socially around them are like, it's just allergies.
Well, a lot of times you get allergies and it weakens your defenses, and then you get it cold. It leads to something else. So that's why you got to be proactive when it's allergies.
Yeah, I don't know if it works like that. But that being said,
just what my doctor said. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know if your doctors have gone for
OBMD.
I like that. OBMD.
Yeah, my mother would have liked that too.
2025 Cotton Holdings Lone Star Showdown Update, Friday, November 28th at 6:30 p.m. Buchanan, what say you?
I'd say I'd rather it be on Saturday. But at least it's not on Thanksgiving. Look, I know there's a lot of Aggies out there that are traditionalists and say, hey, I want this game on Thanksgiving, and you're welcome to your opinion, but I got to tell you.
We work it.
Yeah, I like having the Thanksgiving with my family.
Yeah.
And so like I said, I'd rather the game be on Saturday. I think college football is meant to be played on Saturday. But okay, if I can't have that, at least it's not on Thanksgiving. So I applaud that we're going to be playing the Longhorns on. That
was by design. That's totally by design.
On the day after Thanksgiving.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant Music. I'm kidding for you. Anyway, I'm going to answer this three different ways. People don't care what we media people want, but I'm going to answer it that way. I don't blame them. The dad, the worker, would prefer it. Actually, I think I'd prefer it on Friday, and let me tell you why.
Okay, tell me why.
The dad worker.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to do it on Thanksgiving Day.
Right. Okay.
Because Thanksgiving Day, I want to be with my family.
Sure.
We work anyway on that Friday. Why not make it a full work day? We do the show that morning, we do it, and then I can have an actual weekend after. That's the dad in me.
Yeah, I get it.
And the worker in me. The fan in me, the fan, just the fan.
Just the fan.
I want it on Thanksgiving Day.
Really?
On the fan in me. If I didn't have to work it, like I can, eat Thanksgiving lunch, dinner, whatever you want to call it, before the game, 2 o'clock, drive up to Kyle Field for a 6:30 start. Great. That's fantastic. Like, that's how I would prefer.
Okay.
But I know that that's not reality anymore, at least right now. So I'm kind of okay with the Friday game. I didn't like, there was a time, since we've been covering sports, that the game was on Friday at 10 a.m. That was not ideal.
Yeah, and I've seen, they played on Saturday, and sometimes when there was NCAA involvement for whatever reason, maybe somebody was on probation. The game was on the weekend or Saturday or Friday or Saturday, but and I know again, the majority. If you're my age or probably 40 or older, you probably want the game on Thursday, on Thanksgiving Day, because again, so much tradition,
nostalgia. Yeah,
but you make a good point. If you play it on Friday, like you said, you're working anyway that day, and
get the weekend.
and you do get a weekend.
Right. Like you get Saturday, Sunday.
But
like,
to me, college football is meant to be played on Saturday.
Sure.
And on Thanksgiving Day now, with so many NFL games on, I don't know that you get as much national attention to playing on Thanksgiving as you used to.
Yeah. Here's the deal, though. For us, you can play that game on Tuesday afternoon. I don't care. We're all tuned in. We're gonna put our schedule that week around it.
Well, that's true. That's true. Whenever they're going to play, we're going to be there.
We're going to be there. It's still going to be 110,000 people. We're going to love every second of it. Well, if it's at Kyle Field, we're going to love every second of it as long as they win, and we're going to hate every second of it if we lose. That's a rivalry. That's what it is. In a way, it's just the schedule. It's just okay. Now I got to adjust my week like this. I don't have a hot sports take. I like the idea of Friday for personal reasons, but our audience. As a fan, I would rather it be on Thanksgiving at 7 o'clock or 6:30, whatever time.
I would imagine, and I'm just guessing, that if we did a survey that...
Let's do a survey.
That 80%, 70% would say they'd prefer the game on Thursday.
Let's do that.
Maybe more.
Nick, can we do a survey on the YouTube channel? All right? Everybody go like, comment, subscribe, and also become a premium subscriber to our TexAgs.com.
Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Yeah. I want to see what the people are voting. And if you don't usually watch the show or listen to the show on YouTube, just go for this survey. I want it to be more than, I want it to be all of our platforms, and then go back to what you're listening to. If you're watching us on CW, listening on The Zone, TexAgs.com. By the way, Super Chats, we go first to TexAgs.com. Anyway, I'm okay with it. I was kind of surprised last year it wasn't a Friday. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I thought it. I just thought it would be Friday. It ended up being a Saturday. Prime time Friday game, I'm all for it.
Okay. Well, like you said, we'll be there. No matter where it is, we'll be there. When and where?
Here's a question that has nothing to do with this topic, but do you want to see A&M play a game out of the country one day? If I'm a coach, I don't know if I want that.
I don't know that I do.
The fan in me, yeah. Scotland? No? España? No? Cancun?
No. They're going to play Cancun?
I mean, I'm just throwing that as an option.
You know, I heard, and I don't know how reliable it was. I heard from a friend who covers another team that had played in Ireland, and he said that the organizers in Ireland mentioned Texas A&M as a team they'd like to get. And frankly, no, I don't. If I went to Ireland, I'd want to go to Ireland to be a tourist and sightsee. I don't want to go over there because you know how it is when we cover a game. Basically, we go out to eat on Friday night,
and then we work,
and then we're on the first flight out Sunday. So we don't really.
It's a glorious work, by the way. It's fun.
Yeah, we're not complaining. I'm just saying it's not like you're a real tourist.
Right.
So last year we went to Florida, right? So we had a real nice dinner in Tampa on Saturday.
I had pneumonia. Flu, whatever I had.
David was sick, but Saturday we get up early and we drive into Gainesville. We cover the game.
Got back at midnight.
Got back at midnight and had an early flight. I mean, that's what our travel is like. Yeah. So if the whole idea of playing a game out of the country really doesn't appeal to me.
It appeals to me.
Okay.
Depending on the country.
All right. Well,
wouldn't you like to go to Wembley Stadium? Go to London?
I wouldn't mind. Actually, you know, first of all, it strikes me as the food in London doesn't seem that good.
They got American restaurants. You can figure it out.
Yeah. So what's the point of going over there if also they don't American restaurant?
They don't use the seed oils that we use here in the United States.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to take care of that. But like I said, if I was going to go to London, I want to go to see the historical sites, not being Wembley Stadium.
I think I've told you this before. If I have,
yes, you've been there.
I went there for the Texans and the Jags, 2018.
Was it awesome?
So you know this. You've traveled with me. I typically go to bed early, right?
Mm-hmm.
I soaked up every second of London as I could because it was a quick trip. It was a 2-night trip, but really it was like a 1-night trip because you fly in, it's forever, right? And I went to Chelsea.
Yeah.
I went to Arsenal. Like I didn't go to games. I went to the stadiums I did live shots from outside of a soccer game about a football game. I stayed up the entire time. I ran into famous actors. It was the best trip.
I will say this. You asked me if there was a certain country. if the Aggies were invited to go to Barcelona, I would want to do that because it's right on the beach. I know a friend who went there for the Olympics.
Yeah.
But what was that, 96 or something? 92? I don't know. But anyway.
92 Olympics.
92. He went and covered it, and he was talking about how amazing it was.
Barcelona's a beautiful town.
Right, beautiful. So I'd love to go to that beach, and I support their soccer team as well. European kickball, to be exact.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Have you ever looked at the numbers between the World Cup and the Super Bowl?
I never have, because I never cared.
I'd like for you to Google that. Anyway, I got something else I want to get into. You know what's coming up here very, very soon? The 15th annual.
15th annual.
Preseason kickoff.
Oh, okay.
It is now open to register to premium and varsity subscribers on TexAgs.com. We're partnering with Holistic Planning. Hey, speaking of Holistic Planning, that's where we usually hang out with them in that section
Cool
right
Zone.
there. The Cool Zone. The event is going to be Saturday, July 26th at the Benecourt Ballroom at the MSC. If you're interested in a sponsor table or donating silent auction or raffle items, email sponsors@texags.com. You can find more details and registration link to highly anticipated in Billy's Premium Forum. Come join the TexAgs community in Aggieland to kick off the season, July 26th. Always a great time.
Yeah, and always a big crowd. And I don't know what the agenda is. I assume Mike Elko will be there.
The plan is the big three.
Yeah.
Trev,
Elko, Bucky.
and hey, tell Irma I say hello. And also, we've got some other things that we're planning.
Really?
Yeah, like similar to last year. Like we'll talk to some of the other sports as well. We'll have a forum. Buzz Williams will not be the moderator.
You mean we're actually going to give the
Yes, we're gonna talk to all the coaches, so it'll be a great time. Anyway, make sure you go to TexAgs.com, go on the premium boards. It's open now to premium and varsity subscribers on TexAgs.com. Here's the other thing I want to get into. So a couple months back, I don't know why I said back like that. A couple months back, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, who's on the show quite often, talked about what he thinks there's going to be a 16-team playoff here in the near future.
Yeah.
Yesterday, he tweeted out the 4 Power Conference commissioners held an in-person meeting in New York on Thursday to discuss several issues, including future playoff format. Big Ten and SEC, they control the future format, continues to favor multiple AQs for their conference. There's growing Big Ten and SEC support for a 16-team bracket, most notably 4 SEC, 4 Big Tens, 2 ACCs, 2 Big 12s, and 1 group of 6 and 3 at large.
Okay.
It's coming, and basically a lot of this is it may be decided next month when you are in Florida for the spring meetings, because part of that spring meetings they're going to discuss the 9-game schedule.
Yeah, and actually it's this month.
Sorry, this month. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a couple weeks away, 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I think the 16-team playoff was inevitable, and we knew it was coming when they announced it for 12. Typical of college sports, they're going to say, we're going to do something, and continually, what was obvious, it was going to be 16, but we can't just go to 16, right?
We got to take our time.
Yeah, why?
We got to date a little bit.
There's never an answer to that. I do find it interesting that the other conferences, apparently, according to Ross, are starting to fall in line with the idea, okay, SEC and Big Ten get 4 in automatically.
And potentially more.
Yeah, and potentially more. That's why I said automatically. But and quite frankly, I'm against that, because I think the SEC is going to get at least 4 in every year, because you're going to have at least 4 of your teams are going to be in the top 16 at least.
Right.
I don't think you need to guarantee it. And then if one conference is having a better year than expected, I don't think you should be left out just because. But whatever it takes, whatever they decide, I guarantee you when they start the playoff, I'm going to be watching every game.
Will they get rid of the conference championship games?
I hope not, and it's in danger. But that's why.
If you're the Big 12, though, right, and you only get 2 teams, and your 2 teams play each other in the Big 12 championship game, and that one team loses, then the third team goes?
So are we saying a conference champion no longer matters?
Well,
and then you're going to come up with some arbitrary way to decide who the conference champion is.
Right.
And that's why I know, beating a dead horse, I always thought the 18 was perfect and to say the automatic qualifiers by winning your conference championship because that would have made it so vital. And now it's going to be like we've said it in basketball before. Who wins the conference champion and who cares?
Yeah.
You know, all you care about is getting into the tournament and
a
winning.
high seed,
So I think it's sad if we get to the point where the conference championship of college football are irrelevant. I think that's a bad thing.
By the way, we're typically hanging out over there at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. Taxes, estate planning, finances, you name it. And also if you wanted to invest in a pro sports franchise.
Like Barcelona.
Yeah, I don't know if they're for sale. Investinprosports.com is the website to go to. And if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, I hope you guys are voting on what you want. You like the Friday game for the A&M Texas game? Do you like it on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day? Do you like it on Saturday? Vote, or you can text that answer as well, but we'd prefer the survey, if you will. But you can text us at 979-693-1150, or you can even call us at that same number, 979-693-1150. We'll pick it up on the Buppy's Catering hotline. Let's go around the room. Let's say hi to the people. Behind the glass, I expect a softball update from my friend, Nick Savage.
Sure, yeah. I'll leave a few details for Maria Griglione over there in the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. But A&M won, run rule victory over South Carolina to advance to the semifinals. And, of course, they are taking on the Texas Longhorns. Thank you, Callie. She said the who. Oklahoma, Arkansas remain on the other side of the bracket. So, should be a fun one tonight. Hopefully they can get it done. And just, again, it's kind of the weird deal where do you want to keep winning games or do you want to, you got your victory, cool, let's get out of here. But when you're playing Texas, you kind of want to win that one and get to the championship series.
Yeah, you never overlook playing Texas. If it's Texas, no matter what the situation is, you're playing to win.
I believe at some point today they're going to announce the SEC Coach of the Year in softball.
Yeah.
I hope everybody who voted for one person, and that person being Trisha Ford.
Yeah, what an amazing job she's done.
Yeah. Good friend of the show.
Good friend of softball.
Of America. USA.
Yeah.
Can you start a chant for us?
Ford tough.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Maria Griglione.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning. It's a glorious Friday.
It is.
You became a star last week because of your awesome broadcasting. This week, you're going to follow it up with some awesome news.
Yes, so obviously what Nick was saying, our number one Texas A&M softball team run-ruled South Carolina 12-4 last night in 5 innings to advance to the semifinal round of the SEC tournament. Pitcher Emily Kennedy moved to 20-4 after 5 innings of work and 6 strikeouts while yielding 4 runs, 4 walks, and 4 hits. With that, the Aggies will take on number 5 Texas as the number 2 seed and 3 seed compete to make it to the SEC tournament final. First pitch is set for 5:40 today.
Beat them down, OB. Beat them down.
I hope so, or just beat them. I don't care how they do it. Just come away with the victory.
Yep.
It is the Longhorns. So nothing's more fun than beating them.
Yeah, it's the best. What else, Maria?
I'm looking at this YouTube poll, and it's pretty neck and neck between Black Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not Thursday.
I'm surprised.
Me.
So is neck and neck right now between Black Friday and Thursday?
No, it's Saturday.
Thanksgiving.
Saturday. Really? Huh.
Oh, Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Saturday after. So maybe more people realize they enjoy spending their Thanksgiving.
If you're a dude,
which I am.
Yeah. I don't think you want to go shopping on Black Friday. So
I never have.
Yeah, right. Well, but they try. Don't they try to recruit?
My wife knows it's a lost cause.
Yeah, mine too. And
she goes. She
go Thursday night.
She
right?
goes like it's 12:01.
Yeah, they're there.
A.M. She's gone.
Yeah.
They don't even really do it like that anymore, though.
They don't.
Well,
not really.
They do Cyber. Right?
I went. Yeah, Cyber Monday mostly. But when I went last year, I went to the mall. Closed. Everything closed. I was the only one there.
People still go to the mall?
I love the mall.
Do you really?
Yeah. I think it's healing. But my logic as a student is
Hold on, I want to investigate this a little more. The mall is healing?
Yeah, it is.
It's like it's your zen?
Because you have to try on clothes. Not everything, stores, like carry different sizes. Like sizes are like different at stores. Like a small at one store, it could be like a medium like at another store.
At a store or maybe the brand?
Like a store or a brand.
Both.
Just kind of like both.
Yeah, see, you're right. In fact, David, if he was the type, look, if you're
baby gap joke coming.
I mean, he would have to make sure which small actually looked too small on him, to show off the guns, the pythons. And he said, no, this is not a real small. It says small, but it's more of a medium, so I got to go for the store with the real small.
I know it's very arrogant, my response typically on this. I know, and I apologize, but if you could, you would. Look at that! Ladies, those guns are looking good, bro. Do the tricep thing behind your head.
The tricep, I don't know what one.
Oh.
Look at that. Look at those tries. Look at the elevators on that thing. It goes up and down. All right, we should probably hit a break. What do you think about that, Maria?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, what do you think we're going to talk about? If I didn't tell you, if I just said, all right, I want us to talk about the greatest food that there is, you would say?
1775.
Okay. And
1775.
Today, you go. Let's just pretend like you go today. What are you ordering?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Because usually when I get there, I can't decide, so I just order the sampler.
Mm-hmm.
But if I order the sampler, I better have somebody with me.
Right.
Because I'm not going to eat all that by myself. In fact, I could order it by myself and then take it home, and I'm probably eating on that for the next couple of days.
Right.
And it would be glorious.
But I'm saying, all right, one meal you can't take home.
You know what? The last time I was there, I realized I've always loved that jalapeno cheese sausage, but I was thinking, this is really, really good. I could just make a meal out of this. So it'd be the pork ribs.
Yeah.
Or the jalapeno sausage, or maybe a combination of the two.
Combination of the two, that's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Of course, they're playing Texas today, so I might go with some brisket.
I figured you would.
Eat the beef.
Yeah.
Not kill that beef.
I'm in a rib tips kind of mood recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Rib tips.
Yeah, I'm in a rib tips kind of mood. Yeah.
Yeah, and burn ends.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Not turkey though. I thought you're always in a turkey mood.
I get turkey.
Gobble it up.
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm in a high fat, low carb kind of phase right now.
I'm in a high fat life.
1775txbbq.com is the website.
Get the queso mac and cheese. Never forget that.
They're open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. And online ordering starts at 10 a.m. It's 1775.
It's good.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
We're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Time to bank on it, presented by Vera Bank. Authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. You can learn more at verabank.com. What are you banking on, bro?
Well, first of all, the easy one. I'm talking about the drive-through bank where you just, make it quick deposit and go. I'm banking on a baseball sweep this week against Missouri. Missouri hadn't won an SEC game all year. Make sure that they don't get their first one here in College Station. So I'm banking on the baseball team. There are other things, but that's the easy one. That's the drive-through.
I got two for you.
All right.
Jason Laviolette, 2 homers tonight. I'm banking on 2 tonight.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
In the middle innings.
Okay.
I'm going specific. Like middle innings, couple blasts. 1 in the middle, maybe 1 late, right?
All right.
2 dingers for Jason Laviolette.
Break out of the slump in a huge way.
Yeah, big way. That's what I'm banking on. And I'm banking on Trisha Ford being the SEC Coach of the Year. Hopefully a highlight to before they beat the University of Texas.
Yeah, Texas University. I'm counting on that too. And I'm looking for my 2 favorite players, Mac Barbara and KK.
KK Dement.
They're going to get demented on Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm counting on them to have big games against the Longhorns.
I'm a Maya Perez fan as well.
She had a home run last night.
She's great at softball.
She went 2 for 4 with a home run and 5 RBIs.
5.
Young player, by the way.
Nice day.
Yeah.
And did y'all see that? I don't know if y'all saw the little note that ESPN put on there, but A&M historically hasn't done very well in the SEC tournament. I think they have 4 wins in the SEC tournament now, all of them against South Carolina.
Interesting. Well, they haven't always had Trisha Ford as their coach.
So that's what I'm banking on, OB.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what's on the show the rest of the way. I haven't done that yet, so people are probably wondering if we're going to do a TED Talk on the show. No, we're actually going to talk some Aggie sports. I think we'll have Jorvorskie Lane in a few minutes. Set to graduate at 9 a.m. this morning. So it's kind of the timing is going to be a little interesting.
A couple of East Texas guys,
okay.
Me and him.
Yeah, you guys are very similar.
Yeah.
We've got 9 a.m. Midwinter, sports legal expert. He'll join us.
Yeah, I remember him.
Okay. 9:20, the Baseball Roundtable.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. We'll have Scotty. We'll have Bronny. We'll have Zane. 10 o'clock.
Bronny, Scotty, and Zaney.
Yeah, the Zaniac. 10 o'clock, Wyatt Henseler in studio with Richard Zane and myself.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of people pretty excited about that. I know back in the Fishbowl.
And then at 10:35, Billy Liucci will join us. We'll probably do a little TexAgs overtime because we got a lot to talk about afterwards.
He's on his way back from Dallas.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So we'll be chatting with Billy. So that's what the program is so far.
Sounds like a good show.
I'm a big fan of the host.
You can't go wrong with Jorvorskie Lane and Billy Liucci and the baseball crew.
The baseball bunch. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. We'll try Jorvorskie on the phone. Right now, we're talking Milliken Reserve. Obi, this is all up your alley, some of these events, man. They got some awesome stuff. They've got volunteer at the farm. They've got bug safari hike. I could totally see you in a safari outfit hiking.
Hiking for bugs?
Yeah, why not? Who doesn't? Okay. You got the farm stand on May 10th, 8 to 12. You got the trail running with the Lone Star Trail Runners. You can do that. Day at play, all right? Outdoor games with kids. You can do that as well.
Yeah.
Mother's Day picnic on May the 10th, 1 to 3 o'clock. That's a good one right there. Camp Milliken Family Day on the 11th, 10 a.m. to 12. Gardening 101, raising bed basics. You can go do that at Milliken Reserve.
You know what I would do if I had I'd get a like a canoe, a kayak, if I had a place to paddle.
Well, you can do that at Milliken Reserve. You can go kayaking.
Really?
You can go equestrian riding. You can go hiking, biking, canoeing. You name it. They got it all there.
But do you have to live there?
You don't have to. I mean, it's a very nice place to live.
I know. I've been there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
My son used to date a girl who lived over there. I remember driving him over and dropping him off back when he was in high school. I'm thinking, man, this is nice.
MillikenReserve.com is the website. MillikenReserve.com. Do me a favor. Check them out. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We're going to go to the Buppy's Catering Hotline. Going to be joined by Jorvorskie Lane, an Aggie legend here on the program, who's graduating today from Texas A&M. Jorvorskie, congratulations. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you?
I'm great, man. Thanks so much for joining us. So just take me through this. Like, I think your commencement's pretty soon. Like, take me through the emotions you're going through as you're driving to Reed.
Oh, man, I tell you, man, it's one of those deals where it feels like I'm driving a cow, man, to get ready to get it on.
Jorvorskie, just can you talk about just your why you stuck with it? You know, because I look at your whole career and it's just a study in perseverance. You know, you played arena football when some people would give up on a career, but you ended up using that to make your way into the NFL and had some successful years in the NFL. And then here you are. A lot of people would have said, hey, I got enough out of college, but no, you went back to get your degree and to graduate. You know, just, why is it that important to you?
Man, it's just one of those deals, man, what my grandparents instilled in me. I watched my grandma work 2 jobs. I worked my parking jobs. So it's just one of those deals that it just instilled in me to finish what I started and don't give up. So I implemented that in my life, and it pays off for me.
Jorvorskie, so what's the plan? All right, you're going to get this. I'm sure you'll celebrate with the family, but what's the game plan? What do you want to do with this degree? Was it more of a, hey, I just have to do it for myself and for my grandparents, or is it like, you know what, I'm going to try this phase of life?
Well, it's both. I had to do it for myself, and I had to do it for my grandparents, and absolutely, I have to do it in the aspect of in the business world. You know what I mean? I've learned to apply what I've learned on the field and put it in my life. So, I mean, if I can sacrifice and go hard for a sport, why not put it into my life and my career? So that's where I'm in my life right now.
Olin again, Jorvorskie. Now everybody knows you have a son who's a really good athlete too. So how much of this is like setting an example?
I mean, you have to set the example because, man, he's an athlete himself. So it's going to come to a point where he's not going to be an athlete no more neither. So I had to set that example for him because, man, you never know in the life of an athlete. So you have to have something to fall back on for sure.
J-Train, talk to me about the transition from football to real life, some of the challenges you faced, and also some of the awesome stories that came out of that. Oh, man, that was such a good question. Yeah. I was really ready for that one.
I bet he was going to have a real profound answer.
We'll try him again. And by the way, if he's close to campus, I hear the phones are terrible right now.
Is that because everybody's on him?
Yeah, everybody's on him. Hopefully we can get him back. If not, no big deal.
He was playing when I was covering him, right? Yeah. And it was such a enormous source of frustration then that it seemed like every time they were in a short yardage situation, the obvious thing is turn around and give it to your 250, 60-pound running back and let him go crashing in there. Nobody's going to keep this guy from making a yard or two. And for some reason, the coaching staff at the time were very hesitant, and it was always so frustrating. I can remember a game against Oklahoma. You're right there on the goal line. Give the ball to Lane.
Yep.
And, sometimes I guess coaches overthink things.
2005, I was covering the Aggies for ABC 40 here in town. The ABC affiliate, they have a different number now, but when I was here, and he was one of my go-to interviews. Was he a freshman in 5? I feel like he was. He was a young player, maybe he was a sophomore. But I just remember him being so easy to talk to. We got him back on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. Jorvorskie, I was just asking you just to take me through some of the challenges after football, right? Like there were some challenges, but some awesome perseverance as well.
Oh, man, it's just one of those deals, man, where you've been doing something all your life. You've been doing this since the age of 9 years old to your mid-30s. And at the end of the day, man, that's all you know is a sport. So when it comes to an end, it gets to that point where you're trying to figure out what's next. Once you get out there and start trying to figure out what's next, and the world is in the world that that you've been accustomed to. So the teamwork, the chemistry, and all the team building, you get to that point where you understand the world isn't like that. Because being an athlete, you know, you have to come together real fast, and you know, the way we do things is different, and how we come together is different. How we train is different. How we eat is different. How we do everything is different. And then once it's over with, and you get into the world, it's 98% of the people around you don't understand who you are. So the transition from a sport to the world, man, it's hard if you don't have the right pieces together.
Yeah, Jorvorskie, let me ask you this then. First of all, I think we're all curious, what's the degree in? And secondly, who are some of the people that, you know, gave you the support that made it possible for you to be able to go ahead and finish this off?
Well, man, it's a lot of people. It's a mass of people. I would say in at the end of it, you know, it was a buddy of mine that's the mayor of Sweeney. It was his support system. It was my girlfriend's support system. It was coach's support system. And at the end of the day, I just had to make a choice. Angelina College and their staff, Texas A&M and their staff. So it was a big collective. It was a teamwork, camaraderie thing, man. At the end of the day, like everybody wanted me to finish, so I just really had to make up my mind to really finish.
Jorvorskie, how special is it that you're doing it? Reggie's doing it this weekend. Like that's pretty great. Like both of you guys graduating on the same weekend.
Yeah, big day for Lufkin.
Oh man, it's pretty cool, man. Like I said, man, A&M had done a great job of giving us the resources to come back, and they made the transition of coming back so easy, man. So, man, it's a big deal to watch. You know, of course, I looked up to Reggie when I was growing up. So the fact that, you know, we're graduating on the same day, and you know, and man, we're able to represent our hometown in a good, positive way with the kids coming from where we come from, and giving these kids something to look forward to.
So should we take from this that A&M really cares about you as athletes beyond the time that you're playing?
Oh man, that's the love of it. That's the determination that drives you to a whole different place, because they want you to finish. Like that, I understand it now, because the transition, they made it extremely easy for me to come back and finish. So that's the love that I get from being an Aggie.
Hey, last thing for you. Let me ask you about Coach Elko and A&M this year. Your thoughts on what he's building? I know last year didn't end the way we wanted. A lot of positives, though.
Well, you know, I kind of expected last year to be last year, but you know, I look at the game through a different lens. So I get to see what he's doing, and I've met him and I've talked to him, and I like what he's doing. You know, I just hope that we give him time to do what he needs to do to bring a championship to Aggie World.
J-Train, congratulations, man. We're proud of you. We're happy for you. Celebrate, and we'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Jorvorskie Lane there on the Buppies Catering Hotline. One of my favorites.
That town of Lufkin's been good to A&M. You know, Jorvorskie, Reggie McNeil, go way back to Matt McCall, Eric McCoy, Terrence Keel. And those are just, you know, right off the top of my head. I know there's more.
Yeah. Proud of him, man. That's awesome. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggieland and some other thoughts to finish out the Go Hour here on TexAgs Live. All right, in today's fast-paced world, Caldwell Country Chevrolet wants to bring the car buying experience right to your fingertips. You can browse their constantly updated inventory online, where their deals change month to month. You'll see a great selection there. You'll find the perfect match, calculate your trade-in value, even start the financing process, all from the comfort of wherever you may be, driving or your home, well, hopefully you're not driving if you're in the passenger seat. Caldwell Country is deeply invested in the community as well. When you shop with them, you're supporting a business that gives back. So if you're ready to experience the difference, make that short drive to Caldwell. I know you're going to love every second of it. It's about a 15-minute drive. We're talking the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. And with that, we have Callie Garner in the house. Hello, Callie.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
How are you?
I'm great.
What's going on in Around Aggieland? A lot of traffic?
Yeah, so much traffic. Richard was really, really upset about it this morning. He was whining, but it's pretty bad. But it's about to be really good. We have to get through this last bit, and then everyone will be gone
for a few months. Well, I mean, we'll have the summer crew, but it won't be as bad.
No, not nearly as bad. But we've got a lot happening in Aggieland right now. Yesterday, the 2025 Cotton Holdings Lone Star Showdown announced that the Texas versus Texas A&M game will be played on Friday next year in Austin, Texas. The kickoff is at 6:30. It marks the rivalry's return to Black Friday for the first time since 2007. It'll be the 120th meeting between the two programs and is the second time as conference foes in the SEC. The Longhorns defeated the Aggies 17-7 in Aggieland last year, as we all remember, and the Aggies will aim to get that game back next year in DKR on Friday.
Callie, can I read something real quick?
You absolutely can.
So far on our little survey, if you will, or vote, what day should the Cotton Holdings Lone Star Showdown be played? Currently in the lead, OB, Thanksgiving.
Really? I'm not surprised.
35%. Oh, it just got tied. Saturday, this is real-time voting happening, right? I'm watching it change in real time. Black Friday has now moved to last place.
Huh.
I don't like Black Friday. I don't.
Because you want to go shopping, right?
No, I go back and forth. I feel like it allows me to enjoy the Saturday games stress-free.
I like Saturdays.
I don't know if this was in college or right after college, but they used to do it at Friday when I was in college at 10 a.m.
Oh, jeez.
So imagine being hungover and having to wake up to watch that game.
I don't know what that's like.
There was a time.
She's never been hungover.
She's never woken up before 10 a.m. Just kidding. You're here right now. Sorry.
Right. On the baseball front, the Texas A&M baseball team wraps up their 2025 regular season home schedule with a 3-game series against Missouri this weekend, beginning tonight at 6 p.m. at Olson Field. The Aggies hold a 27-20 record and a 10-14 record in the SEC, while the Tigers are currently winless in the conference, and A&M hopes to keep it that way. They will honor 8 seniors on Saturday in Matt Bergevin, Wyatt Henseler, Gavin Cash, Ryan Prager, Brad Rudis, Hayden Schott, Josh Stewart, and Troy Wansing. On the softball front, the SEC tournament quarterfinals were last night, and the 2-seeded Aggies dominated the number 7 seed South Carolina with a 12-4 run rule victory, carried by Maya Perez's 5 RBI performance and a 2-run blast from Kennedy Powell on her first one of the season. The Aggies advanced to face number 3 seed Texas in the semifinals tonight, with first pitch scheduled for 5:40 p.m. On the women's tennis front, the number 2 Texas A&M women's tennis team is set to host number 17 UCLA in the NCAA Super Regionals today at 2 p.m. at the Mitchell Tennis Center. The Aggies are led by top-ranked singles player Mary Stoyana and carry a 27-3 record into today's matchup, and they aim to advance to their 4th consecutive Elite 8 in Waco next week. On the men's tennis side, the number 16-seeded Texas A&M men's tennis team is set to face top-seeded Wake Forest today in the NCAA Super Regional at 4 p.m., and that matchup will be in Winston-Salem. The Aggies bring an 18-10 record into the Sweet 16 after a thrilling 4-3 win over Baylor last week in the regional, and Wake Forest has only dropped 1 matchup on the entire year, and they are aiming for their 2nd consecutive quarterfinal appearance. And lastly, on the volleyball front, Texas A&M volleyball standout Logan Lednicki has been named to the U.S. Women's National Team's 30-player long list roster for the 2025 Volleyball Nations League, marking her first senior national team call-up. She is a rising senior at Texas A&M and is a second-team All-American, and she is among one of 6 athletes on the roster who have yet to compete for the senior national team. The U.S. Women's National Team will compete in the preliminary rounds in Brazil, Serbia, and Arlington, with the top 8 teams advancing to the final round in Poland.
Would you like an update on the votes? It's changing. It's real time.
All right.
Currently, in first place, taking a commanding lead. By 3. Thanksgiving Day. 37. Just another one. 38% of the votes. People are, it's real time, right? This is like the stock market.
Oh, Nick knows about that.
In second place, the Saturday after Thanksgiving at 33%. Black Friday has dropped to a season low at 29%.
Season low.
If you would have had on your glasses, that would have been like, MSNBC, given the election
Rachel
results.
Maddow. All right, Estelle Getty. Thank you. I think Luke was Blanche Dubois with his nice little fro that he had at one point.
Oh. He did have a fro.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Great job as always. All right, OB.
Yeah.
Big weekend. Let's hope for softball. Just win the damn thing.
Just everybody win.
Just win the damn thing. Win it all. Baseball.
And there's some tennis going on. Win that. Win it all.
Just wins for days.
Run fast. Jump high.
Graduate well.
Yes.
Props to
all those people won. Congratulations for everybody that's graduating. I envy you. I never went to college. I wish I would have an opportunity to go and walk across that stage.
I'm assuming somebody is driving into town, listening on the Zone right now. They've never heard the show. Hey, yeah, congratulations to whoever you're gonna go watch graduate. Your son, your grandkid, your friend, whatever it may be. Congratulations to them.
Yeah. We'll take them down to 1775.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
And your son's coming this weekend. Quinn's coming.
Yeah, he's coming home tomorrow.
Yeah,
and then they have one more year.
Goes by like that.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. Thank you, OB.
Yep.
All right, here's the program. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, Mitt Winter coming up next here on the program. He's a sports legal expert. We'll talk to him. Baseball Roundtable, Wyatt Henseler and Zane after that, and Billy Liucci to close out the 10 o'clock hour. You are listening to the world-famous TexAgs Live show presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Bumpy's Catering Hotline. Mitt Winter joining us here on the program. Sports legal experts, been breaking down all the things happening in college athletics recently. Mitt, thanks for rejoining us here on TexAgs Live.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How's it going, guys?
Good. So I guess I want to start things off with, sometimes I read these things and I'm like, yeah, I'm not smart enough to understand what's going on. But I did think that we would have some more clarity yesterday. I guess there is clarity, but we're still waiting. So kind of describe where we are.
I assume you're talking about the House settlement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so as you know, the judge had an issue with the roster limits plan that's part of the House settlement. She wasn't a fan of so many athletes immediately losing roster spots. So she basically asked them to figure out a plan that would grandfather in current athletes who either have already been told they won't have a spot on a team, or we're going to lose a spot, or if you're a high school athlete who had been recruited to a school and then later told, sorry, we're not going to have a spot for you anymore because of these new roster limits. So she sent the parties to go and discuss how they could grandfather in those athletes. And they filed a brief on Wednesday with the new plan, which is it gives schools the voluntary option to grandfather in those athletes, keep them on their roster, even though it would technically be over the settlement's roster limits. It also allows those athletes to take their grandfather status with them to another school. So let's say a school decides it's voluntary. We don't have to grandfather you in. We're going to adhere to what the roster limits are in the House settlement, so we don't have a space for you. That athlete could then transfer to another school, and that school could say, all right, you're grandfathered in. We're going to take you in on our team, and we're allowed to go over these new roster limits as long as you're on our team. The objectors to the roster limits issue, they have their own counsel, and Judge Wilkin allowed their counsel to be part of this whole process of revising the roster limits. They're not in agreement with that plan. So they're going to get a chance to file a brief with the court due on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, explaining why they don't think the roster limits plan, the revised one, is still fair to athletes. Then the NCAA and the conferences are going to get to file what's known as a reply brief on Friday, May 16th, explaining, responding to the arguments made by the Objectors Council. So we're still not going to have a final answer on whether the House settlement is going to be approved or not at the earliest the week of May 19th. So still waiting around for at least another week or so.
Help me understand a little bit more about what the objections are and like what the counter could be.
Yeah, so the objection is basically all Division I college athletes, current athletes, are part of what's known as the injunctive relief class. And so the settlement is, with its roster limits, is going to result in some of those people who are class members actually losing a spot on their team. So for a settlement to be approved, it's supposed to be fair to all of the class members. And so the judge has determined, based on the arguments from the objectors, that it's not really fair to these class members if this settlement is going to result in them no longer being college athletes. That's really the issue.
Timeline-wise, do you feel like it's still on track, like where we are with things for this to really be launched here 1st of August-ish?
Yeah, the hope is that it gets launched July 1. I do think as long as we get some sort of decision, shortly after May 19th or that week, that there's still plenty of time for schools to move ahead with their plans as of July 1. A lot of schools they're ready now. There are some schools that have probably been kind of waiting around a little bit longer to see what's going to happen, and they might have to scramble and move a little faster. But I do think the way things stand now, there's time to get everything set and implemented by July 1.
Mitt, let's say this all happens July 1st, the changes happen. I want you to kind of look into the future, what curveballs we might see in the first year of this and what it could look like maybe in 2 years, 3 years down the road.
Yeah, I think one curveball that's been in the news this week is this new Presidential Commission on College Sports. What's going to come out of that? anything that comes out of that is probably still, let's say they come up with like the best plan in the world for the new model for how college athletics is going to look, and everyone agrees this is a great model. It's still going to have to be implemented via changes or amendments to some federal laws or new federal laws being passed. So that's always still kind of a wild card, whether that's going to be able to happen or not. You would assume with the backing of the president and this commission will probably have some people that have sway in Congress. You would think that if they do come up with a great plan that everyone likes, that it might be easier to get those laws changed that you need to get changed. So I think that is probably probably the biggest wild card factor to me right now on whether the House settlement terms, how long they'll be in place and governing college athletics. And then I think another issue that's been out there for a while now and still is out there is the employment issue. You might have a court, whether it's the Johnson case that's still pending right now or some other case that says, at least some college athletes are employees. And if that happens, there's language in the House settlement that says we can tear up this settlement in the terms if college athletes are declared employees.
Do you have an idea of what should happen? Like if you could kind of mix up the ingredients, do you have a kind of a framework that potentially could work?
Yeah, I mean, I do think there obviously need to be rules and structure in college athletics. There are rules and structure in the NFL and the NBA, and that's why those leagues work so well, is because you do have these rules that govern how everything can work, how much the players can be paid, how long their contracts are, and things like that. And I think structure like that being brought to college athletics would help a lot. I think ultimately there's going to have to be a model where those rules are agreed upon between athletes and some other entity, whether that's the NCAA or conferences or new governing bodies for specific sports. I think that's ultimately where we'll get. And the question is whether that's going to happen with athletes as employees or not as employees. Either way, I think there's going to have to be some changes to federal laws to allow a model like that to happen for college athletics. So the question is just how soon is that able to happen, and what are some of those changes to federal law going to look like? But I think ultimately that's what needs to happen and probably what will happen at some point.
All right, I'm going to make this really elementary because I live it with my kids that play club soccer, okay? We can't just leave in the middle of a season for another club, right? And I know you can't technically do that in college football either. In the middle of the season, you can't just leave. But we have to wait till the year's over and ask for a release and yada, yada, yada. Is there a world where you see that happening in college sports where, like, it's some kind of contract, if you will, like, hey, first-year players, you got to be here 2 years. Kind of going back to the old model, do you think it's always going to be in and out? Because, hey, if you're a student at Texas A&M, you can transfer to another school and not be penalized. If you're a student, why should you be penalized as a student athlete?
Mm-hmm. I think under that model I kind of described, where there's agreed upon rules with athletes and some other entity, I think we'll get to a point where there are rules about, all right, if you commit to a school and you're going to play for the school, you need to stay there for 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is. And the contracts will reflect that. And if you don't adhere to that contract, there will be some consequences. I do think we'll get to a model like that, because I think really that's the biggest issue people are having trouble with right now. I don't think it's necessarily that athletes are getting paid. I think most people realize that, especially P4 football and basketball players, they deserve to be paid. They're helping generate a lot of revenue. I think where people have the biggest issue is how easy it is for player movement, which makes it hard for schools to manage rosters. And also there's some question about whether fan interest stays as strong when there's a completely new team every year.
So you've basically answered this, but I'm going to just try to take a different step. With the transfer portal being there, it behooves these young athletes to go in there to see what the market says. So is there a way in that world where, like, it's not about testing your, the ability to make extra NIL dollars? Is there a way that it is, this is what you'll get in this world or at this team and this team, because there's some kind of cap per position, if you will, kind of like franchise tagging in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever have a cap by position, but there probably will be a cap for a team overall, like we have with the House settlement, there's a $20.5 million cap that covers every sport. I think eventually we might get to a model where, all right, here's the football cap, here's the basketball cap. So it's not just one big number that you can apply to every different team that you have, and it's going to be different from team to team depending on what teams they want to resource. I think we probably, in a world where rules are agreed upon between athletes and whatever entity it is, I think we will have, for lack of a better term, a salary cap, something like that.
Do you see the Olympic sports really falling out of favor, like has been rumored, a few years down the road when they have this, payment every year, and some of the smaller sports that don't generate revenue, like do you actually see them falling off?
I think people are going to figure out a way to keep funding those sports, whether it comes from funds from the university side or whether there's outside funding that comes in to help keep those sports around. I think people are going to figure out a way to keep those sports around because people recognize those are important. And even the Presidential Commission on College Sports that was announced, one of the people on the commission is a guy named Cody Campbell, who's the chairman at Texas Tech now, a big backer at Texas Tech and heavily involved with their NIL efforts. He's written a number of articles earlier this year kind of touching on how he wants to have a model, yes, where the athletes are paid and that's fair to the athletes, but also a way to keep around the Olympic sport. So I think everybody kind of wants to figure out a way to make that happen.
Do you see this scenario happening where, look, we've got a salary cap, we've got this, we've got that, and the universities are paying athletes, but there's still the under the table payments like we saw back in the old days?
I think if we do get to a world where it's the athletes and conferences or whoever agreeing on the rules, you're going to see a lot less of that because presumably if the athletes have agreed to these rules and, punishments and penalties for under the table payments, it'll be easier to enforce those and you won't have as much of that. Like you don't see in the NFL or NBA under the table payments to get around the salary cap. Maybe it happens once in a blue moon, but it's not a problem that they have to deal with like you do in college sports. And that's because the athletes feel like they're getting paid fairly. They've agreed to how much they're going to be paid. And they've also agreed to the penalties that come along with evading the salary cap. And so have the owners. And so the system works.
Mitt, with President Trump and the group he's putting together, I forget how you phrased it. I think you responded to somebody's tweet like, if he goes the direction of what it used to look like, it's not going to work. It's got to almost be can you kind of talk about that? It needs to be a hybrid of what it was and what it can be.
Yeah, it can't just be a group that gets together and says, we liked it the way it was before when athletes were not able to receive NIL compensation and when they were not able to transfer as freely as they are now. I think everyone realizes, all right, we're not going back to that world. And so trying to go back to that world isn't going to have any credibility just publicly and also within Congress. If they want to get Congress to help and pass the laws that are necessary, it's going to have to be a model that recognizes, all right, some athletes or, all athletes are going to be able to be paid. They're going to be able to transfer, at least to the extent that the athletes agree on some limits. There could be limits there. But it can't just be going back to the way things used to be because people like that. It's going to have to recognize those things I just mentioned and figure out a model where everyone can agree on what the rules are instead of just trying to impose the rules on the athletes.
Mitt, last thing for you, kind of thinking of the old school way, there's a lot of fans out there that are upset. They don't like the direction college sports are going, right? And I fall in that category, but I still love it. So with everything that we've seen so far, should we be optimistic about the future, or is this just a Band-Aid? Like, do you feel like we're trending in the right direction?
If we're just talking about the House settlement itself, I think that's just a Band-Aid, and that's not going to stop all the lawsuits and legal issues that exist right now for college athletics. But if whether it's this presidential commission or some other model that comes out where athletes are able to play a bigger part in deciding those rules, I think that will provide a sustainable and long-term future for college athletics. So eventually we're going to get to something like that, and there will be more stability, and college athletics is still going to exist, and people are going to love it, watch it, go to the games. Some of the stuff behind the scenes might just be a little different. People aren't going to recognize a big difference on the field if the athletes are negotiating the rules with whatever entity. They're not going to notice any difference at all with the play on the field. And it might even be the only difference they might recognize is some of the players might be around a little longer at the school that they support. And so people would like that.
Are we thinking 3 years, 5 years, 2 years? I'm just curious your opinion on it.
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, people want to get this stuff figured out as soon as possible. But like I said, when you're, having to change some laws and get Congress's help, you never know how long that's going to take. I would say within 3 years that we'll have a new model that brings more the stability that people are looking for. But, hopefully sooner than that.
Mitt, great stuff, man. Thanks for making time for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mitt Winter, college athletics attorney, does great work. Follow him on social media. He's fantastic. We'll get him back on the show here at some point. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with the baseball bunch, guys, find out their thoughts. I think Scotty's on location. We'll have Brauninger and Zane in studio. If you're looking for a reason to move back to Aggieland or already in Aggieland and looking for an opportunity to help Aggies, you should check out the Association of Former Students. They look to hire Aggies because they love Aggies, and they have a lot of different positions from time to time that are open: fundraising, marketing, communications, you name it. They're the premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting Texas A&M for that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out with Aggie Howdy Socials, Aggie Green Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It's now time for the Baseball Bunch. We've got Scott Clendenin on the Bumpy's Catering Hotline, Richard Zane, and Ryan Brauninger here in studio. Guys, we're going to talk some baseball, but first I want to tell you guys about the Troubadour Festival, returning to Aggie Park Saturday, May 17th. That's coming up here soon, the ultimate Texas barbecue and country music experience, where you can sample smoked meats from 30 of the best barbecue joints in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Smoked meats.
Yeah.
And a musical lineup that includes Shane Smith and the Saints, Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen on their Hold My Beer and Watch this tour, 49 Winchester, Josh Malloy, Hudson Westbrook, and more. Tickets are now on sale at troubadourfestival.com.
Hold my beer and watch David smoke some meats.
From smoked meats to white smoke, did you realize there's a greater than zero chance that Pope Leo XIV knows who Braden Montgomery is? He's a White Sox fan.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think of that, Scotty?
I think that, like most Chicago sports fans, he's dealt with disappointment for most of his life, other than the Bulls.
Are you in a sauna?
No, I'm in an Airbnb in New York State.
All right.
Yeah, here, let me show you a coffee pot. How about we go that? So
There
you
we
know
go.
I'm not in a sauna.
That works.
My wife has been dealing with disappointment for about the last year of her life.
Well, this is true. All right, let's talk about it. Scotty, you're on remote. Let's start off with you. How are we feeling about things after what we saw against LSU, what we've seen for the most part for the last 4 or 5 weeks, heading into this Missouri series?
15-8 since Braden Sorrell was available, which is the Friday night of Kentucky. And, you've played like a top 10 team. And that's the great part, because you've been up against top 5 teams, and you're 6-6 with the majority of those on the road. So you're playing like a team that nobody wants to see in the tournament. And, as crazy it sounds, as you're fighting for your tournament lives, people are saying you might be a favorite to go to the College World Series. It's a crazy sport. It's a crazy game, but this team is starting to play up to the expectations that were at the beginning of the year, with pitching, defense, and then the offense, as it has kind of had the aggregate come up to make up for Gavin Grahovic, because I don't think we thought that, some of these guys were going to hit 10 home runs. But the aggregate is giving you the slug back. And I mean, there's a point in time where it's like, you've got to completely change your offense. You can't expect a slug. And now this team does, and you expect them to continue to do it.
Richard? I agree with Scott. They're starting to play like a club that's capable of getting to Omaha, but I still don't think we've seen it all together all at once, right? Like when A&M was going into Knoxville and into Fayetteville and winning those series, they were doing it with the offense. The bats were coming alive. They were hitting a ton of home runs. The last couple of weekends against Texas and LSU, the offense has been held down, albeit against two of probably the best pitching staffs in the country. But you've also seen the pitching staff come around. So the starts that we've seen the last 2 weekends from Ryan Prager, Justin Lampkin, Miles Patton, and then the bullpen pieces that are starting to perform, Weston Moss, Caden McCoy, Caden Wilson. I still think there's another level and more reliability to get to from Luke Jackson. But those two, that part of the equation is starting to kick it into gear. So imagine what they can do when they all start clicking all at once and they start playing that complete baseball that we've been talking about or hoping to see from them for the last 3 months.
Yeah, they've played better complementary baseball, but they haven't played complete baseball. I've been on the record saying that somebody's going to get it. Somebody is going to get the pitching staff, how they've been the last couple of weeks, along with the offense that we saw through Tennessee, South Carolina, and Arkansas. Somebody is going to get that. And when they do, it's going to be a bad weekend for the opposition. And for this team to climb out of the hole, they're not there yet. And it's funny, as Scott is right. Like, there are a lot of people talking about this team going to Omaha. There's no guarantee that they're even going to get into a regional. They got it. There's still work to be done, and it starts tonight against Mizzou. But encouraged. I think they've shown a ton of mettle, a ton of backbone and spine and mental toughness. And to me, it goes back, like, what did Nick say? How does Nick Saban describe toughness? What does it take to discourage you? And they've had plenty this year that could have discouraged them, plenty. Go back to the injuries, the way they were playing, run ruled, no hit in Knoxville. That could have been it. Very easily could have been it. And they didn't lay down. They didn't lose the belief. It got bloodied. It got battered. It didn't go anywhere. But that's the reason they've been able to climb out of this hole. And obviously getting Caden Sorrell back has proven to be a massive, massive piece. And I was talking to Billy on the phone yesterday just about like it's a hypothetical. And I'm not making an excuse or anything, but just think about this roster with a healthy Grahovic, a healthy Sorrell, a healthy Sadeo, and a healthy Josh Stewart. And now how they're playing, it's a lot easier to dream on that and say, well, this is a no-doubt national seed. And I don't know that anybody would argue against that if all those guys are healthy. Because now you're starting to see kind of what a massive piece Caden Sorrell was, and it's hard to imagine that Gavin Grahovic, a healthy version of him, wouldn't have been the same type of impact offensively.
So one of the things we talked with Coach early about was not worrying about who the opponent is. But from a player's perspective, Bronny, how difficult is that after you've taken on this gauntlet of 1-2, 1-2? I know you had South Carolina in the middle of that. Taking on a team that has not won, can it mess with you?
No, I think it can, yes. But in this scenario, if you're a player, it actually helps A&M, I believe, because there's nothing guaranteed for A&M right now. And they've got to go win these games against Mizzou to guarantee something. So maybe if Mizzou had the same record and A&M was 14-10, you may worry a little bit more about it. Okay, here comes Mizzou. We should take care of the business. Yep. No, but this team can't afford that. So you'd hope that the leadership in the dugout and the clubhouse from the coaching staff would make that very apparent. And I think they have. Having these kids come in this week for interviews, you heard Sorrell and Royo talk about that. And ask Wyatt Henseler about it when he comes in here in a little bit. By the way, really cool that we're getting players on the show. And I think Wyatt's going to be a great representation of A&M baseball. He's one of my favorite guys I've covered here at A&M. Just really, really smart kid, fun to be around. But ask him. He'll give you a really mature response, I bet, about, there's nothing guaranteed for us. Like, we are fighting every pitch, every inning for our postseason lives.
Richard, you were in the interview with me when we talked to Coach Early about it, and they have to, right? That's got to be the way they roll.
It's a message from the top down, and it seems like all the players are, repeating. It's not like they're parrots or anything, what Early and company are preaching to them, but you heard it in the NIL interviews. You heard it in the press conference yesterday. It was Justin Lampkin, and who is the position player that they like? Caden Kent. Yeah, short-term memory loss. Both of them said the same thing, right? They're not overlooking Missouri, and they can't, right? You can't expect this to be a walkover weekend against an opponent that's just 0-24 in conference play. You still have to go out and play your brand of baseball regardless of who's in the other dugout, and the results will take care of themselves if they do that. And they know that. They're saying all the right things, and that's what gives me confidence going into this weekend that you won't see a letdown from the Aggies.
Scotty, from a historical context, like in history, can you remember a time where A&M was faced with, hey, we still got a lot of work to do, and we got this bad opponent coming in, how it's gone south potentially, or how it's gone the right way?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, some of those late, usually it's non-conference, okay? Usually it's somebody trying to sneak up on you. Sam's having a bad year this year, but you played him twice. Any of that slip up, you're not sitting here at 36 in the RPI. You're making your climb even tougher. You've got to show up and be ready to play those games when you do have an advantage, when you have confidence, when you are, perceived as the overwhelming favorite. Baseball is such a humbling game that, you could have the Friday night guy from Missouri, Brady Kellenbrink, come out and have his best performance of the year. And what are you going to do if that happens? And that is what baseball is about. You saw the best performance of the year from Tennessee's Friday night starter, from LSU last weekend. And you have seen when somebody gives their A stuff that you can be in trouble. And I think that this team has already been through enough of that, built up a callus now that they're not letting individual things. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've been able to come back in these games is they're playing it inning by inning and pitch by pitch. is that they built up a callus and they have some belief that even when things go against them, they can come back in these games. I think that's why the 3-1 run losses in Austin were in the 9th inning. You're playing this to the very last inning of these games. And this is all built into the DNA of this team. And every team gathers its DNA as the year goes along. And this team has built it up to where we're a team that at the end of the year, nobody is going to want to play against. And no matter what the opponent does, we have some belief in our dugout that we can come back and we can make this a very good weekend for the Aggies. Missouri, they got nothing to lose this week. They got nothing to lose next week against Mississippi State other than spoiling two teams' bids to try to get into the NCAA tournament. That's what they're playing for.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with more because one of the things I'm looking at is the standings and how A&M is actually closer to Missouri, just in place where they are in the standings. Yet we know how they've been playing as a top 10 team recently. So we'll kind of talk about what's still at stake for the regular season. Right now, if your wheels have been damaged by potholes, curbs, or medians, go see the great experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't replace those damaged rims. You got to repair them. The experts there at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair have over 2 decades of experience and are going to make sure that your wheel is returned to perfectly safe working conditions. They have experience repairing everything from minor curb rash, polishing to much more complex jobs. If your wheels are in good shape but you just want a fresh look, the pros at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair can create a custom look that will transform your car or truck. On every cosmetic repair comes with a limited lifetime warranty. If you need tires to match, they can help you out as well. It is Brazos Valley Wheel Repair, offering interest-free financing, by the way. You can find them at 508 Burnett Street in Bryan or on their website, bvwheelrepair.com. That is bvwheelrepair.com. It's Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the baseball bunch, guys. The TexAgs 15th annual preseason kickoff is now open for registration on the premium and varsity subscribers for them on TexAgs.com. We are partnering up with Holistic Planning. They're going to be the title sponsor of the event. It's going to be on Saturday, July 26th at the MSC. If you're interested in sponsoring a table or donating a silent auction or raffle items, please email sponsors@TexAgs.com. You can also find more details there on Billy's Premium Forum. Come join the TexAgs community for the Aggieland kickoff to the season. Looking forward to that on July the 26th. All right, guys, so I said it at the end of the last segment. Standing-wise, if you were to look at where A&M is, they're 14th out of 16 teams, which, and I know a great weekend could put them all the way up to, what, potentially 10th. I think the reason I bring it up, it just shows you how far down they were with how good they've done, and they still, as Bronny said in the last segment, have work to do. Bronny or Zane?
They're also tied with two teams at 10 and 14, and then they're one game behind Florida.
Here's the biggest misleading thing about the standings. Nick, keep that graphic up. From Tennessee all the way down to Texas A&M, you realize all those teams are within 2 games of 500?
Right.
That speaks to the parity of the league to me. So, the Tennessee and Vanderbilt at 14 and 10, they're +2, A&M -2, Kentucky -2, away from 500. And that's why when you go into SEC seasons, whether it be preseason number 1 A&M, last year A&M, 23 A&M, that was top 5. When you look at SEC slate, you're going, can you go 15 and 15? Because that's what it is. And this league this year, outside of Texas and Arkansas, who have really separated themselves, I think that the rest of the bunch is very, very close. And actually, I think even A&M would probably be toward the top of that LSU, Tennessee, Vanderbilt grouping right now based off the last 5 weeks.
Scotty?
Well, and I think that, the other team that has done kind of this at the end of the year has been Florida. Mm-hmm. So you had a couple teams at the bottom of the line of the standings. Mississippi State, with their sweep last week, got to raise themselves up and put themselves in a position where they got to 10 and 14. Well, you don't get very many sweeps in conference play, so they were able to take advantage of that, put themselves in a position where they're in the picture as well. So I think that you've seen the separation away from South Carolina, and you've seen the separation away from Missouri. But Mississippi State, Florida, and A&M were even more close to those schools before they started playing better baseball. So, I think that Bronny is right. You get to the spot where, you see these teams getting closer to 15 and 15, and they're the teams that nobody wants to see in the regional, even if they don't host. Because somebody 16, 14, 15, and 15 will have a high enough RPI that they're going to be a host.
So Dermdoc on the chat says, and this is something for us to chew on for a minute, Mizzou's team ERA.
Probably sip on. If it's Dermdoc sending it, it's not something to chew on. It's probably something to sip on.
He talks about Missouri's ERA 9.4. And Richard, you and I were talking yesterday a little bit about it. It's more the relievers, correct?
It's all of them. They're not very good on the mound, to be completely honest with you. It's 9.27. It's 15th worst in the country. In league play only, that jumps to 11.99. Across the board, the bullpen ERA is worse overall and worse than the conference ERA, but it's not really by much. If you look at the last weekend of games that they had, and they were in all 3 of their games against Georgia last weekend until the Dogs separated late. The Dogs scored 9 runs in the 9th inning on Friday night to pull away. They scored 5 unanswered on Saturday to win 5-2, and then the Dogs needed a 2-run homer in the 9th inning to beat them. The bullpen is beatable. So not that their starters aren't, right? They've got a guy throwing tonight who's got an ERA of 8. But you've got to get those guys out of the game and get to the relievers who are even more questionable than the starting pitching.
The numbers that I look at for the pitching are the overall walks. They're astronomical. The fielding percentage is sub 970. And the whip, the walk and hits per innings pitch, which I think I'm glad Nick has started to include the whip in these graphics. I think whip's a pretty good determining factor of how successful a pitching staff has been. The whip for their staff is over 2. That's an insane number for a staff-wide whip. So what does that mean for Texas A&M? Okay, how do we extrapolate those numbers out into success in these 3 games? It's with a north wind weekend at Bluebell. You have to let Mizzou put you on first. So swing decisions for me are massively important. I don't care about strikeouts. I've never cared about strikeouts if you walk and slug. This weekend, because that fielding percentage is .964, and because you have a north wind, and because they will walk you, the strikeouts need to go down. You need to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. Okay? I think this weekend more importantly than others, because of that north wind, because of how Mizzou will walk you, and because of how they play defense, keep in mind, they have a .964 fielding percentage when they play most of their games on turf. So put the ball in play this weekend.
The whip is 2.32 in conference play. They've walked 155 in 186 conference innings. They walk over, it's like 7.5 batters per 9 innings. Wow. Take your walks, take your free passes, pass the baton. Scotty?
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if I'm on or not, but
yeah, you're on. We like you.
Okay.
Hey buddy.
But I think that, and it's a true runs per game. They're giving up 1 unearned run a game on average. So they've given up 434 runs, and 402 of them have been earned. So it's, we've seen wider spreads in that on some poor fielding teams. So they're getting slugged around in a big way. So, but, they just have not been able to get over the hump. That's why those 2 games last week against Georgia, they were so close. But you're at home. You don't get the job done, then you got to go on the road to play an A&M team that's desperate to play great baseball. And I that's good for A&M because y'all said earlier, if this had been a team that was had not really been competitive in any of these games, you can look by it. A&M is looking at, hey, Georgia, who one poll, right or wrong, has them as the number 1 team in the country, struggled at their place last week. The players know that they have got to keep the level of play going that they have right now, and that's what I like about college baseball in this day and age. Is so many of these guys have played so many games now that they don't look by that. You don't have teams that are a bunch of freshman teams that can look past an opponent.
Real quick, before we go to break, I think this is going to test the maturity of the offense this weekend. Because Mizzou struggles on the mound, you're going to want to score a bunch of runs and have a bunch of outcomes. It can't be about outcomes. I harp on it a lot. People probably get tired of hearing me say it, but that north wind changes the ballpark. And you might as well add 80 feet to every dimension that's printed on the walls of Bluebell Park. Against this pitching staff, shrink your strike zone. Can you be efficient with your swings in the zone? And when you get to 2 strikes, don't expand just to make contact, right? Or especially like if you get 3-1, 2-0, don't expand the zone to put the ball in play. Okay, I'm really interested to see the approach and plan this weekend against Mizzou by the Aggie offense. I think that will be the determining factor if A&M can get this sweep or not.
So my lofty expectations for Jace, I mean, if anybody can do it, it's Jace.
By the way, if you really know, if you've watched a lot of Aggie baseball and a lot of Jace Laviolette, it's going to look different tonight. There's going to be some swing changes. I know there are. Now, whether they immediately result in outcomes, as we just said, that's another story. But they did work on some things this week. Coach Early said it in his interview. And it's going to look a little bit different. So we'll see how that manifests itself. But Jace, he hits the ball hard in the air. And a lot of the guys on this team, they've built this roster, and I would too. If I was the head coach at Texas A&M, I'd get a roster full of guys that hit the ball hard in the air because most of the time, that south wind is going to help you, and you'll put up big offensive numbers like we saw last year whenever the weather on the weekends at home in the SEC. You look at Mississippi State, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Georgia, just off the top of my head going through what was the other home series last year in the SEC. But those 4 for sure, south wind, heavy south wind weekends, A&M absolutely lit up the scoreboard in those games. When the wind blows in, you're not going to slug the way you normally do. So swing decisions this weekend are vastly, vastly important.
All right, we're going to talk a little bird dog here. They do hunting, you know that. They do ranch management, you know that. They also have fishing. I'm going to go fishing with Ben Sweat from Bird Dog here in a couple of weeks. They do everything when it comes to your hunting experience. Let them set it all up for you. They got this awesome platform. You go there, you'll find the ranch you want to go hunting on. They'll set up all the logistics for you. Same thing when it comes to the fishing experience. And then if you're a landowner, you want to get some hunters on your land, they'll take care of it for you, right? They've got the folks that want to use them and go to your land and maximize your income potential on your land, but also finding you the tax benefits you haven't thought about. Some of their clients are making an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land. The website is birddogit.com. That is birddogit.com. Check it out.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-pot topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Bronny, who's due? What do you expect to see this weekend? Give me somebody to look out for.
Bear Harrison, I think he's been a little quiet. Ball striking has been better of recent, but remember he went on that run where everything he hit was an extra base hit. Again, going to be tough if he hits the ball in the air this weekend to get it out of the ballpark, but just kind of like what Bear's done to get himself back to form.
I'll take Wyatt Henseler. I think Wyatt Henseler's due for a big weekend. He's been pretty quiet, right? He's hitting probably the quietest 300 I think I've ever seen an Aggie hit, other than Jackson Appel, his fellow Penn grad. So I'm expecting a big weekend from Wyatt Henseler, and what is going to be his final home weekend as a collegiate baseball player.
It's a good set the table for next hour.
Yeah, that's a great one. Scott, do you have one?
Yeah, I think with two left-handers starting for Missouri, I'm looking at Ben Royo to continue this, what he's done attacking the baseball. I mean, this guy has been tremendous, up to 9 home runs. That's one of the guys I'm talking about, the aggregate to come up with the slugging of this team. And this is a guy that has just performed in the clutch. And I think two left-handed starters gives him an opportunity to maybe knock some of those starters out of the game.
Hey, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Keep an eye at first base. What do they do with left-handers starting? Do they go Cash? Do they go Bender up? And I'll tell you who probably deserves more playing time. I just don't know where you do it, is Jamal George. Jamal's been really good lately. I think with a north wind, you got to play your best defense. I think it's going to be important. So could you see Jamal even in a DH role?
Right.
And you play Keel, Sorrell, and Jason in the outfield. But just kind of how early in the staff manage first base between Cash and Bender up in that DH spot between Bender up, Jamal, and even Schott.
All right. And just quickly, Bronny, we got about 20 seconds to play with. Where's an area of Missouri that we may be overlooking, like an area where they can get
their top 2 hitters are really good. Jackson Lovich is a really good player at shortstop. And so you don't want to have guys on base when he comes up.
Thank you very much. Richard, thank you. Scott, thank you very much. All right, we'll hit a break.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. When we come back, Wyatt Henseler here in the studio. We'll chit-chat with him. After that, Billy Liucci. Get to your calls and your text messages at 979-693-1150. You are listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We'll be back in a few. All right, we're continuing our baseball discussion here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Thanks to our friends at Texas Aggies United for our interview with Wyatt Henseler, who's here in studio. Richard Zane's joining me. Wyatt, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So this is the final home series. Like, has it gone by like that for you? And just some thoughts as the season's kind of been crazy, the ups and the downs, and the final home series.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the same thing on the way here. I'm like, when you're coming on to a show, you're kind of anticipating some of the things, you might talk about. And driving past the field, I went over the field to get some coffee. And it's like, this is kind of sad. It's going to be one of the last times I'm going to be able to play here. It's just been an unbelievable experience. Just super grateful to be welcome in the way I was here. And yeah, just trying to enjoy every moment this weekend.
I know it's only been 1 year as an Aggie after 4 at Penn, but what has your short time in Aggieland meant to you, and how have you seen this community rally around you in just 1 short year?
Yeah, I think, you said it great. I think just rally around us as a team. It's really awesome to see the support that we get on a daily basis and on and off the field. I think right out the gate, it just felt like part of the community right away. And I feel like it's easy to feel like an outsider, especially someone from the Northeast. I have no idea what Texas is like. And I come down here and I feel like I'm a part of a big family right away. And being able to experience the football games in the fall and some of the volleyball games, basketball games, going to softball, and then this season being able to just have the support we've had even in the ups and downs is pretty awesome.
We know that A&M is going to honor its senior class on Saturday or before Game 2, whenever that may be. I think the forecast makes it look like it's going to be Saturday. So you're obviously going to be among those groups or among that group. So what additional emotion, thought have you given it to it being your final home weekend in front of the 12th man?
Yeah, just trying to take it all in, enjoy every moment even more than normal. Another thing that's awesome just to be able to celebrate with some of the other older guys on the team and have our families in town, Mother's Day on Sunday. It just seems like it's going to be an awesome weekend, beautiful weekend for baseball. And like you said, just trying to enjoy every moment out there and cherish it all, because I know there's going to be a time in 30 years or 5 years or whatever where I look back and I wish I was back in this position. So I don't want to take anything for granted.
From where y'all were after the Friday night against Tennessee to where you are now, the last 5 weeks have been insane to follow. What has it been like inside the clubhouse with the group week in and week out as y'all have gone on this surge towards the postseason?
Yeah, I know a lot of guys have reiterated, but not a whole lot's changed in terms of our baseball preparation. But I think our mood and our looseness with how we look at the game has been better. And I think that's a lot of the reason why you've seen us come through in bigger moments. I think it feels like we were able to take the pressure off a little bit, just play a little freer. And I think that's just a big point of where this locker room's at. It's just having a good time and just taking what the game gives you every pitch.
While I recognize there's still a lot of work to be done, was there a point this year where you're like, maybe before the Tennessee series, maybe it was the Tennessee series, where you're like, I think we figured this out, or was it after?
I think that was definitely a big moment. I think we all look back on that one. Just felt like the time where we really broke through. I know there was even some moments we showed it, I feel like, against Kentucky. I know we didn't come out on top, but I felt like that was a weekend where the bats really showed up. Our pitching wasn't doing exactly what it had been doing in a while, and it was the first time you feel like they let up a little bit, which really led us to feel like we had to step up. And I think that was a moment for me where I look back and be like, all right, we broke through a little bit there. And I think the Tennessee game was, that doubleheader was just the ultimate moment where I was like, all right, this is what we're capable of. And just gave us a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season. You're on the road against the number 1 team in the country. You got your butt kicked game 1 and you can come back and do that. I think it just gives you a ton of confidence going into the rest of the season.
When you play in Knoxville and you play in Fayetteville and you go to Austin and you win a series from number 2 LSU at home, and then you've got a team like Missouri coming into town this weekend. They're 0-24 in conference. What has the mindset been around the facility? As you guys know, you're not in a position where you can overlook this team on your march towards the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think this team does a great job of not overlooking any opponent, let alone a midweek game or a series like this. I know everyone's been on losing teams before, and I don't mean to, degrade their team at all and what they've done this season, but when the team's playing like that, they're hungry for a win. There's some comfortability in the other opposing locker room that feels a little too comfortable. So I think we've done a great job of avoiding that feeling and really treating it like it's any other game, like we've done all season against, if it's the number 1 team in the country or the 300th team in the country. So I think regardless of who comes in, we're going to worry about our game and play our best brand of baseball. And I think if that's the case, we're going to come out on top.
It's been a little bit of a different looking week for y'all. The Tuesday game at Houston canceled due to weather. What alterations have been made to game planning preparation without a midweek game this week?
We did some sim games the other day, which got a lot more guys involved, just with a lot of the arms that didn't get to throw and some of the hitters that needed some more at-bats. So that was good. We had a pretty light day yesterday, which is good, which is a normal Thursday plan. It's usually a little lighter. get us in and out, get us off our feet a little bit, get ready for the weekend. And Tuesday, when the game got canceled, it was a little weird. We were on the bus. We got off the bus. We were able to get in, get some swings, and then that's when it felt like the tsunami started coming through of rain getting into our facility and stuff. So we shut it down. But it was good. It was a good week. At this point in the season, you want to play every game, but at the same time, your bodies are a little banged up. So sometimes right when a game gets canceled, you're upset, but you realize it's actually maybe a little bit of a beneficial thing in terms of preparing for the weekend. So I think we're in a great spot. The weather's beautiful. We're excited to get out there today.
What has it been like without having classes and schoolwork to tend to as well?
It's nice. I mean, this is the best time of year for baseball. Every year I've looked back on what my favorite part of every year I've been in college is this month where classes are ending and you get so much more time with your friends, with your teammates, and you just get a lot of time to enjoy being at practice with some easier hours, not stressing about school. It's one less thing you got to worry about, and just worry about playing your best brand of baseball. Give yourself a great chance in the playoffs, and just try to fight to extend your season every day.
You've been a key point of the offense the entire year, whether you're hitting second or whether you're hitting third, depending on how it's written out. The last couple of weeks, we've seen really good pitching staffs kind of hold your run production down a little bit. So what is it going to take for the offense as a whole, you, Jace, Caden, everybody, Bear, to really get back on track and start clicking heading into the postseason?
Yeah, I think just having a tough at-bat every at-bat. Just I pride myself on being a super good competitor. Like sometimes that's sometimes what hurts me is I just really dig in and want to put my toes in the dirt and just get to work against the pitcher. So I think sticking with that mindset, I think a lot of our team works that similar way. It's a battle between you and the pitcher, and when it's your moment, you want to capitalize on it. That doesn't mean you're going to get the result you want, but just having a competitive at-bat and having that relentless lineup, that 1 through 9, everyone's fighting. If that means you're having a 9-pitch at-bat, you might strike out, that's fine. You got his pitch count up. So I think we did a great job of that last weekend when we faced a pretty legit pitching staff. I mean, that's one of the best pitching staffs I've ever seen.
I saw Cade Anderson's projected to go third, and I thought he wasn't even the best guy that rolled out there.
It was velo, it was pitchability, it was pitch calling, it was matchups. I mean, you saw a little bit of everything. So yeah, there's going to be weekends like that when it feels like the offense is down, but really you're just clawing away as a group to try to get some of those guys out of the game so you can get into their bullpen and hopefully have a better chance. And I think that's what you saw this weekend. So I think we're just fighting to do the same thing. This weekend against Mizzou, just have competitive at bats, get guys out of there, get a new guy in, run through their bullpen, and give your chance to win at the end of the game.
Wyatt, you had so much success in the Ivy League. When you transitioned here to A&M, it seemed like it follows you. Talk about that transition from that brand of baseball to the most competitive league in the country.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the most competitive league in the country. I think that's the big thing I've felt here is that I got exactly what I wanted, which is a challenge, and playing in the SEC. Everyone wants to play in the SEC. And you can't be prepared to do that without the right people around you. So I think the biggest thing I'm grateful for is the coaching staff that's supported and coached us up and helped me out personally, and also just being around a group of guys that are super competitive. And we have one of the most talented lineups in the country. So just being around those kind of guys every day, like I said a couple months ago, that iron sharpens iron mentality just is really prevalent in our locker room and in the cage sessions every day. So by no means would I say that this is been an easy season by any means, but being able to do that with those group of guys every day and that coaching staff has really made it a lot easier.
Let me follow that up too, because when Hayden got here a couple years back, it felt like he was part of the culture and the fabric right away. Same with you. Talk about kind of the atmosphere that these existing players kind of have opened up their arms when you got here.
Yeah, definitely a great existing culture of winning, of camaraderie, and again, Hayden being a big part of that. Guys like Jace, that you have your focal guys that are also your biggest supporters, Prager being another one with the pitchers and everything. So it made it seamless to feel like I can come in and be a part of that too. And it's a big reason why I wanted to be here is because I knew the right people were here. And I'd say the same thing about Aggieland as a whole. I think if you surround yourself with the right people in any aspect of life, you're going to set yourself up for a lot of success. And I think that's exactly what's here in College Station.
I know he brought up Hayden. Jackson Appel had some really good success here. You're having a great 1 year in Aggieland. Who are some of the Ivy League guys that you might be trying to recruit to A&M to keep this pipeline going since it's been so successful?
It's going to be hard to keep the pipeline going with those COVID years going away, but there's definitely some talent up there still, and you're seeing some of those other guys around the league, like Cole Hage came in town here from Columbia. He's a friend of me and Hayden's, and he tore it up here, and we'll play Brian Zeldin, my old teammate from Penn, at Georgia. There's just a bunch of guys scattered around the league, so it's fun to watch them and see them doing well. So I'm not sure if the pipeline's going to be able to continue unless some guys choose to leave the wrong way from the Quake show. So I don't wish that upon them, but
well, just how cool has it been, as an Ivy League guy, to see that multiple different players. It's not just isolated, right? It's not just one or two here or there, but it's kind of it's a ton of guys having success in power conference baseball. What has that been like for you to watch over the last couple of seasons?
It's awesome. I think it gives a lot of respect to what that league is. I think, yes, the lineups and the teams aren't as deep as obviously as an SEC school. The SEC is the premier baseball league. They're complete teams every weekend. So yeah, it's a little different where the rosters aren't as deep. But at the same time, there's still a lot of talent. I think it's just a lot of well-rounded people that have a lot of life perspective to see that the opportunity of the degree there, chance to play Division I baseball, and then in my shoes or Hayden's shoes or Jackson's, like it's pretty awesome to be able to get that degree and then come put all your hard work on display here and the biggest stage in baseball. So grateful for every opportunity, and every other guy would say the exact same thing, and just taking advantage of the resources there and just a very well-rounded group of people in that league, I'd say.
Has anyone, at least on this desk and in our organization, asked you about the backstory of the Home Depot theme as the walk-up song?
There's definitely, I feel like there might have been a conversation, but I can reiterate it if you'd like.
Please, because I haven't heard it.
So you can guess probably where the inspiration came from. I hate to give number 12 another shout out, but we were in a line at Chick-fil-A on a Saturday. I think it was like we'd been watching college football. We had a game that night or something, and Hallie Hutchins kept texting us like, hey, you guys need to get your walk-ups in. Obviously, he had his taken care of. And I'm like, dude, I really don't know what to do. Like, I need something different. Like, I don't care what it is. I prefer if it's something the crowd can get into. And I think we heard a commercial, or he had the idea, but it was totally on him. And I turned it in not thinking I was actually going to do it, and then kind of just stuck with it. So, and it's kind of funny with the hard hat stuff, and people get on me because I don't move and get hit by pitches a lot. So it's kind of morphed into its own little
17
thing.
hit by pitches. You definitely lead the team.
Yeah, someone told me the other day I have the same amount of hit by pitches as career home runs now. So
what?
It's a lot.
That's wild because you're one of the division. You're one of the Division I leaders.
I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the hit by pitches more than the home runs. I think that's my bread and butter. So my dad told me I couldn't move. So he'd throw balls at me, so I would learn not to move. So
you mentioned Hayden being the guy behind that madness. Do you know what you have to wear next weekend on the plane, considering your Quake show dropped 2 of 3 to Columbia a couple weeks back?
For those of you who don't know, there was a big rivalry series a couple weeks ago. My team did not come out on top, unfortunately. So I will have to wear a full Columbia jumpsuit on our travel day to Athens. So Mike said that was all right at the time. So I wouldn't be mad if he said I couldn't do it, just for the pure embarrassment of putting on the Lions gear. But that one's going to sting. It's going to sting a lot.
When you look at this weekend, I guess I'll ask a serious question to wrap it up. What's going to be Wyatt Henseler's keys to success against the Missouri Tigers? I
think just executing. I think pitchers throwing strikes and hitters taking balls and getting swings off, doing damage, keeping the ball low. I know we might have a little north wind, so I think just if we fight pitch to pitch and try to execute and win every pitch, we're going to be in a good spot, worrying about only what we can control and not worrying about our opponent and what we can't control. So keep it simple.
I'm going to ask you where I can get that hat off air.
The warehouse.
Yeah, they're sponsors. So to follow that up, you think this team enjoys being the hunters? Because in the beginning, you were the ones being hunted, and now you flipped it. And I think you guys seem comfortable in that position and kind of want to attack the rest of the way, including the postseason, with that mentality.
I think it's a great mentality to have, and I think that's exactly what we feel like we have. We have a little chip on our shoulder from the beginning of the season, and I think being in that position is a great spot to be in, just like you said. And I think it gives you a lot of pride in what you're doing, and a lot of it just keeps your foot on the gas, and that's all you're really trying to do. And I think that just goes back to that competitive winning mentality, win every pitch that I just said. So,
congratulations on all your successes. Keep winning, man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, guys.
Wyatt Henseler here in the studio. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back, around the SEC with Nick Savage. But first, we're talking about keeping water local. The water right here in Brazos and Robertson County are being infiltrated by out-of-state interests that are eyeing our water, threatening our community's future. That's why I want you to consider keeping water local and joining this group, a group of neighbors fighting to protect what matters most. If you care about this community, it's not only about the water in your taps, it's about preserving the farms and that Aggie spirit, which makes this place so special. Losing the water means losing the future. If you want to make a difference, head to keepwaterlocal.org. Get involved. Let's keep water right here where it belongs, local. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. As a reminder, the TexAgs 15th annual preseason kickoff registration is now open to premium and varsity subscribers on TexAgs.com. We're teaming up with Holistic Planning as the title sponsor of the event. It's going to be on Saturday, July 26th at the MSC. If you want to sponsor a table or donate something to our silent auction, please email sponsors@texags.com. You can find more details and registration link to the great event on Billy's Premium Forum. Come join TexAgs community in Aggieland to kick off the awesome season. All right. I know we've got some interesting news in the world of softball that is going to make me lose my gasket. It's time for Around the SEC, presented by Jack Sir. If you're looking to build your dream home on your lot, let the Jack Sir Group help you navigate the entire project from start to finish, making sure your home perfectly suits your lifestyle preference and budget to turn your dream home into a reality. Please visit them at jacksir.com. That is JAXSIR.com. And with that, we go behind the glass to the great Nick Savage. Nick, what do we have in Around the SEC?
Yeah, so the SEC just released their...
bunch of cowards.
Yeah, they're all SEC teams for softball. Emily Kennedy and Maya Perez earned first-team recognition. Mac Barbara, Amari Harper, and Coco Woolley all received second-team honors. The biggest notable award, I guess lack thereof, is Trisha Ford did not win the Coach of the Year in the SEC. That goes to Patty Gasso at Oklahoma. Freshman of the Year was Tori Edwards. Newcomer of the Year was Sam Landry at Oklahoma. Pitcher of the Year was Carlene Pickens at Tennessee. And Player of the Year was Bree Ellis at Arkansas. And I'd say probably the next standout, I guess, missing, accolade is nothing for KK DeMint, not even on the all-freshman team. So, or I don't know. Well, actually, I take that back. We don't know if that's out yet, but no awards, at least in this first round, for KK DeMint.
All right. So first off, I get Patty Gasso getting it, right? Best team. They've won like 1,000 national championships. I get it. It's kind of like when MJ was winning NBA championships and MVPs, and like they had to give it to somebody else. I understand that. I just think the job that Trisha Ford has done, where the expectations were, where they were last year, where they should have gotten to Oklahoma City, how close they were, how they were misseeded, like everything that they went through this year, and to, oh, by the way, be the number one team in the country right now, like, just saying, like, but I get Patty Gasso. I get it. I was expecting, I was hoping, and I really thought it was going to happen that Trisha would be the Coach of the Year. So we'll just make her the TexAgs.com Coach of the Year. Can we give out that award?
Fair enough.
And we got some candidates on campus that could all get it. Right now, I'm giving it to Trisha.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. 100%.
Anything else around the SEC, young Nick?
I guess we can kind of just revisit the SEC softball tournament bracket real quick.
Yes, sir.
With A&M playing later on this evening. I think 5:40-ish will be the first pitch of that. Obviously taking on the Texas Longhorns in that one for a trip in the SEC championship. Oklahoma and Arkansas on the other side of the bracket in the semis in that one. So maybe Oklahoma wins, A&M wins, and Trisha Ford can get the last laugh, at least in the SEC tournament, over Patty. So we'll see how that turns out, though.
What I want is the last laugh when it's all said and done. That's what I want. So did you close the poll, Nick? I feel like you did.
No, I didn't.
No, still open.
It's still open. I can update you, or maybe have Maria update us.
Maria, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Do you have the current tallies when it comes to the what day should the Cotton Holdings Lone Star Showdown be played?
Yes, we have 148 votes. What do you think is the top?
Oh, I already know.
Oh,
it's a landslide. It is all about Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But guess what? You're not getting Thanksgiving this year, folks.
I'm actually surprised that was
Why are you surprised?
Because, well, I guess, I don't know how many students watch, but as a student, I'm thinking about how Texas A&M, the Thanksgiving break that they do, it starts after classes on Wednesday. So I would be going home on Wednesday.
Why would you go home?
Thanksgiving.
You just do it here. That's what we used to do.
Really?
Yeah. Bonfire.
No, my mom would be so mad.
She can come too. How far's home?
Well, I guess it's only an hour, so I guess they could come.
Only an hour? That's traffic in Houston and go down the street.
But I feel bad for, like, everyone else. Like, I can't imagine driving,
Do you understand that this is how it's always been done?
I don't feel like it's done like that anymore, unless you're like maybe out of state. Like I only know one
No.
person.
I'm just saying for Nick, can you look up how many times it was on Thanksgiving throughout the years? I think the last 30 years, maybe since like 98 or so, it's when it started moving to Fridays. But I feel like there's been way more Thanksgiving. At least that's how my memory wants to work. Yes. That's how it should be done. Bonfire, Thanksgiving, like everything was like right around, yeah. It moved, I think it moved to Fridays like in the late 90s. Which I know to you feels like the 50s to me.
So the series was played on, I'm sorry, this is Fridays after Thanksgiving. It was played on Fridays after Thanksgiving from 1996 through 2007. I know we mentioned that already, but let me keep looking. 1 second.
Yeah, I want to know how many times, because I feel like.
For me, it needs to be on Saturday.
Why for you?
Because,
why are we making this about you?
Not like for me, but like I feel like on behalf of the students.
Could you imagine? The students are the ones that we did this for when it was on Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yes.
No.
What?
You go home after classes Wednesday. You spend Thanksgiving, and then Friday you like spend the morning, maybe like do a brunch. I don't know. And then you drive back up.
Maybe we change it. We change the vacation policy in that situation. We're like, all right, it's on Thanksgiving. We're going to give you the week off.
Well, I think that they don't give us Thanksgiving week off because of fall break. But I'm not sure if everyone has.
We didn't have a fall break when I was in school. There was no fall break. We just went to
I
school.
don't know why they have that.
5 a.m.
I feel like it's so random. And it's so close to the beginning of school anyways. Like, I just feel like it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm like, oh, I just got here, and now it's a break again.
Durham, if you're still listening, you know, like you've been around, not since the 1800s, but like you've been around for a while. I'd like to, maybe I just have like a fake memory of things.
All I'm figuring out from reading all this is that it's been played all over the place. It's been played on Saturdays. It's been played on Fridays. It's been played on Thanksgiving. So I don't know if there's like a set traditional day. I'm with you, David. Like when I think about at least the rivalry prior to the SEC, I think of Thanksgiving Day matchups. I guess that's kind of what I grew up understanding it to be. But like I'm kind of with Maria here. Like if the goal is to, I don't know, maximize the environments, if you want to word it like that, I would think either Friday or Saturday would be the best bet. My say or my vote would go to Saturday, but I get the tradition behind it.
According to Mr. Internet, Mr. Google, A&M and Texas have played on Thanksgiving Day 60 times.
So that's half, right?
When do they start playing? 60 times, though. So a lot, right? This is a lot. I don't think the look you gave me was somebody who agreed.
We're trying to do too much math here.
Yeah.
And we know I'm not good at math, so.
No, but we know 60 is a lot, right?
Yeah, that is a lot.
It's not 4. It's not 9. 60. It's a bunch. Okay, everybody got quiet on that one.
Oh,
what else
sorry.
can we get into, researchers here on TexAgs Live? Give me another thing.
We have a text about it.
Okay.
Saying the game is supposed to be the game is going to be a primetime Friday night game where the whole country is locked into you. That's a win for the program, especially if you win the game and then everyone's talking about you all day Saturday. So they're looking at it. This is Chase in Houston, by the way.
Oh, hey, Chase. Good friend of the show.
Yeah, so they're looking at it Thanksgiving, the game, and then Saturday, you talk all about it if you win or you mourn your loss.
I think you talk about it the next day no matter what day it is.
That's true.
And if they lose, you don't talk about it at all. But you go on the message board and get mad. That's.
And you get sad.
Yeah, look. I'm okay with it being Friday. I'm okay. Whatever. Like, nostalgic purposes, Thanksgiving was cool. It probably didn't happen as much as I think it did in my head. I felt like it was every Thanksgiving. It probably wasn't that, but it felt like most of my youth, before I went to school here, like, it was what we did. On Thanksgiving, we'd do our dinner, and then we'd watch the game. Or our dinner, right? And watch the game.
Yeah, but I want to like go to the game. Like I don't want to watch it like from home.
That's why you come back.
Did you come back?
Yeah, of course. I don't remember how many times we did it on Thanksgiving when I was here. I feel like I came back. Maybe it was on Friday. I don't know. I don't know anything apparently.
Someone else just commented that they don't want that game going up against NFL games. Because a lot of NFL games are on Thanksgiving.
What are you going to watch? The NFL? Like, I don't care what other people watch.
I don't even think like that's a thing that college football can do anything about now, because they've moved games to Black Friday now. They're playing games on Saturday. The NFL is, right? So it's like, I think it's already happening. So, you know, it's going up against NFL games whether they like it or not.
Look, everybody wants to say, back in my day, this is how we did it. Back in my day, and I'm BTTS, thank you. It was legendary to do it on Thanksgiving. That's when it was. It was Thanksgiving. It was a tradition, and we gave it up. And when you give things up, it's very hard to bring it back.
That's true. Well, this is my day. So on my day, it's on Saturday.
Hey, your day was last Friday. Sorry.
That's enough.
We'll hit a break here. Sorry. I haven't picked on you enough about that.
No, it's all good.
I believe on the other side, we will have Billy Liucci. We'll talk to him. Right now, let's talk about heritage films and farm and ranch films. Farming and ranching families think different. You know that. If you got some farmer friends, you know they think different. It's not just working for today's, but about building for generations to come. That's why Heritage Films created Farm and Ranch Films. They've documented so many different stories, from Washington to cattle ranchers in Texas to agricultural legacies across America. They aren't simply documentaries. They're cinematic time capsules that capture your unique relationship with your land. Whether you're thinking in 20-year cycles or the next 100, Farm and Ranch Films preserves the wisdom, work ethic, and values that make your family so special and your land so special. Your legacy deserves this level of craftsmanship. Visit yourheritagefilm.com and click on Farm and Ranch. You can call Chance McClain up. He's my buddy, 713-893-8341. It is yourheritagefilm.com. Call him up, 713-893-8341. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3 of the program. Billy Liucci's on the Bumpy's Catering Hotline. We're talking A&M, Texas, the game on Thanksgiving, on Friday, on Saturday. We're talking Aggie baseball against Missouri. We got a lot to get into. Billy, good morning, buddy.
Nuño, what up?
Hey, man. So
you called me way too early this morning.
Nope, I did not.
And between the two of y'all, I've counted the sniffles during the go hour, and we're going to change it to Mr. Sniffles and the Mad Sniffler, because both of y'all, it was like just it was almost like I was watching Scarface, like Tony Montana and
role model.
Yeah.
Billy, it's interesting you say all this because I got a report that you called Olin at 7:20 a.m. this morning, and you were already on the road.
I did. I went to the. It wasn't planned. It was a spontaneous. I happened to be in Dallas, and shout out my man Howie, the man of 1,000 haircuts, and spontaneously went to the ACM Awards last night. I had gone last year. That was very planned out. But last night was spontaneous to the point that I happened to be having happy hour meal before I was about to drive back at like a 0.1 mile away from the Lucchese store. So our proud sponsor, Lucchese. I went in there and unfortunately didn't have a discount and bought a pair of boots because all I had was tennis shoes. Couldn't go in there to the ACM Awards. So I went in there, Lucchese baseball cap and boots. Apparently you could have seen me towards the end of the show there singing Backstreet Boys because they came out. They popped out with Rascal Flats or Little Rascals, whatever the hell they're called.
Hey, so I'd like for you to weigh in on the whole Friday A&M Texas game. I was telling young Maria Griglione.
You're getting right down to it. Huh?
Oh, do you want to keep talking country music?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Bad Bunny wasn't there. I'm sure that upset you. Jelly Roll, Shabuzi.
I'm not a big Jelly Roll, Shabuzi guy at all.
Best thing I saw was Alan Jackson singing "Remember When," and then the second best was Brooks and Dunn duet with Cody Johnson, Red Dirt Road. Anyway, go watch the show if you're so inclined, Nuño. But I prefer the game. I don't like it on Friday. I know. I don't hate it. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me. I think it should be the Thanksgiving night game or Saturday night. But it doesn't bother me. I tweeted about it. I just wanted to see what everybody said. I don't love it on Friday. I love Thanksgiving night because I just feel like that's what most of us grew up watching the Aggies and Longhorns play on. I do like having my Thanksgiving to just watch other football, NFL. I feel like Thanksgiving, you watch a couple NFL games, you eat a bunch of turkey, the tryptophan kicks in. That's Thanksgiving. Maybe you're half asleep watching the Egg Bowl. Like, that's Thanksgiving now. My preference would be Saturday. I know the argument is, standalone game. How many people didn't watch Texas and A&M this year because it wasn't a standalone game? I think the whole country was tuned into that and would consistently be. I love the idea of a Saturday, if I'm a college football fan anywhere, watch Michigan, Ohio State, the Iron Bowl, and then Texas A&M, Texas. That, to me, is a perfect end of regular season Saturday of college football. And you could have the Aggies and Longhorns kind of there to cap it all off. I know there's other games going on. That would be the biggest thing of the night on Saturday, regardless. So that's just my take. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me that it's on Friday. I mean, now you can watch all the Saturday games, from the comfort of your own couch. Hell, you could go to some of them if you want to get a little crazy. But anyway,
I
prefer Saturday.
It was surprising because when I was talking to Maria, she was like, well, what did you guys do? Did you come back on Thanksgiving Day after the game? Yeah, I think we did. Billy, I'm right. Like when we were in college, I feel like most of it wasn't on Thanksgiving Day, right? Like, or at least all of my youth, I felt like it was Thanksgiving.
Most of all my memories were Thanksgiving night. And then was that, but also they moved to Friday there for a while. There was this weird stretch where for a couple years at least, they played Friday morning, and I'm going to say like at 10 a.m., not 11. Like they would play at 10 a.m. on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It was stupid. I swear, somebody can fact check me on that. I think I'm right. And I think that was around the time, probably like when I was living with those guys, like my roommates were playing. It was like 10 a.m. game. So imagine being a college kid going out the night before, having a 10 a.m. game. But even if you weren't, you would still have to come home Thanksgiving night to be able to go to a 10 a.m. game. It's not a big deal. It's really not. It's not worth like any more than this conversation to me.
Agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like after today, I'll probably won't even think about it again. So I guess if you had my order of preference upon further review, I would go Saturday, Friday, Thursday. But I put Thursday over Friday just because of nostalgia and history. But just in terms of convenience and just, I would go Saturday, Friday, Thursday. But I guess, look, if one of those teams ever plays for the SEC title, I guess getting an extra day wouldn't hurt if the other team, if it's Bama or somebody that's, playing that Saturday.
Yeah. Billy, we are almost up against the break. Why don't I start the next topic about baseball on the other side? How does that sound?
Perfect.
All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Billy Liucci, talk some baseball, and I'm sure some other football stuff will come up. Let's talk about Rollo Insurance. Insurance decisions should not be made in 15 minutes or less. They should be made by people who actually think about your situation, your unique situation. That's what Rollo Insurance does. They've built lasting relationships through education, helping you understand what you're buying and why. They have expertise in everything, home and auto to business to specialty coverage. Their independent agents provide options tailored to your specific needs. They want to take time to explain the policy to you in plain language. This educational approach empowers you to make a more informed decision about protecting your family and your business. Many clients here in the Brazos Valley and all around the great state of Texas have learned this because they've got 60-plus offices in Texas, but they can find them nationwide, but their headquarters is on Highway 6 in College Station. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci on the Buffy's Catering Hotline. Billy, with the baseball bunch, I was just kind of looking at the standings in the SEC, and I'm like, why is A&M 14th? And I know why. There's a logjam of a bunch of teams in this tier, and it just kind of shows you where A&M had to come back from, right? But that being said, a good weekend here, and take care of work against Georgia, then you're talking about a team that could potentially still finish at 500 in the conference and move up significantly.
Well, if they were to finish 500, right, it would mean a sweep, presumably of Missouri, if you got to 500. And obviously that's the goal this weekend, and it's an attainable goal, but they're also a team that's proven over in recent weeks you can't overlook. And A&M's been so up recently with this schedule that, there is a bit of danger there. You'd be particularly worried if these games were on the road, but even so, it's baseball, right? So they're still treading, they need to win this series. They need to sweep. And, but if you were to go win 2 at Georgia, then to me, the fascinating thing would be not only would you have finished 500, but to come back from 1-9 and to lose your first 3 series, swept twice, go 1-2 in the other, not against good teams in Vandy and Bama and Kentucky, but nothing like what you've been beating lately. And to come back and go 0-3 like that and win 6 of your final 7 series in this league would be remarkable. And again, it would just further emphasize what we've been saying for weeks now, is that nobody would want to play this A&M team and see them as a 2 or 3 seed in their region. And I think, if you win 5 of 6, you'd be talking about a 2 seed in the region for sure. And one that might have only been a win or 2 away from a host at that point. But there's still work to do, man. Georgia's really good, especially at home. And Missouri's been playing some quality teams tough. And they just can't seem to find a way to win. And you know how hungry they're going to be.
Yeah, I expect for Jace to have a bounce-back weekend. And I was given a dose of reality that, he could have a bounce-back weekend, but not to be, the winds coming in, the north wind obviously can affect them.
Jesus.
I know, but it's a thing. Bronny told me 80 feet. At 80 feet.
There ain't nothing like Brauninger versus the north wind is like one of mankind's toughest battles. It's a historic battle. Bronny versus the north wind. Same thing as like you versus an open segment. Nuño be the open segment. Bronny versus the north wind. Olin versus a off-color, somebody inadvertently teeing up an opportunity for an off-color joke. These are some of the battles that I know you guys typically are not going to win. They're tough for you guys individually. Me versus the 10 o'clock start time.
Yeah, on time. That's what I was thinking.
me versus an alarm clock.
Even if you're awake, if I call you before 7:42, forget about it.
No, what people don't know about me, Nuño, with lateness is it's not about it's literally you're sitting there. You know what I do most mornings. I'm usually at breakfast with somebody, and in my head I'm like, if I leave at 9:54, I'll be there on time. And it really is like, no, Billy, you need to leave at 9:50, and then you would be on time. But you keep thinking it's 9:54 when it's really not.
Well, there are times that you have left at 10 o'clock, but that's we're not going to go there, Billy. We're not going to go there. If we get one of the things, and I'm going to actually give Bronny props on this. One of these weekends, maybe it's in the SEC tournament, maybe it's this weekend against Missouri, maybe it's against Georgia. We're going to see everything kind of work out. The pitching staff that we've gotten the last couple of weeks, the offense that we saw against Arkansas, we're going to see that on that same weekend at some point.
Yeah. When we do, I would love for that to be the last weekend in May and the first weekend in June. Because if that's the case, then Texas A&M will be in Omaha. No one can beat this team, and I don't believe in a regional or 3-game series if it's all coming together. And I say no one, that's wrong. But like A&M is as good as anyone in college baseball. And but the crazy thing though is we haven't seen them mash and pitch. I mean, we kind of did, though, and I think in Fayetteville, that was Arkansas had that game where they hammered the Aggies in game 2 for 11 runs. But games 1 and 3, I mean, that was what? Was that 7-4, 9-2? Like, you saw kind of the best of everything in those games. And look, they went and beat what I think is the best team in college baseball, 2 out of 3 in their house. That's what it looks like. So, yeah, when they've got it all going together, I think they're as good as any team in college baseball.
Yeah, they've been.
You're going to have a hard time beating them if they are hitting and pitching over a course of a weekend.
Well, they've been playing like a top 10 team, Billy, though, for the last month. And I would say even the Texas series, the offense wasn't there, but all 3 of those games.
By the way, the offense wasn't there because really good pitching.
Yeah.
Texas's offense wasn't there in Austin either. They just barely, they had a error on a attempted caught stealing that gave them a run, and then they had an inning where the Aggies walked a bunch of guys, and that was like that. Those walks in the bottom of that inning, and the one throw, like that's the difference. And we can go a million different things, like the warning track fly balls, and Henseler barely missing the grand slam, and all these things in that series. But the reality, Texas didn't hit in that series. They scored 3 more runs than Texas A&M. LSU didn't hit this weekend. It's great pitching, So a lot of times you got to just give it credit and say, hey, the Aggies haven't been ripping the cover off the ball the last couple of weekends, and that's because they're playing like Omaha-level pitching staffs. And so, same with Arkansas, but they did manage to hit that. So you said they've been playing top 10 baseball. Totally agree. I would contend, David, that they're playing. I would contend that they're playing top 5 baseball and playing as good as anybody. Because again, Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU series wins, Texas 3 one-run losses. I think they're 6-6 in those 12 games. 4 of the 6 losses have been by 1 run.
Billy, anything else you want to get into? We got about 30 seconds.
No, I think that's it, man. I'm ready for an exciting weekend. We got Trisha Ford and company this evening, kind of a big one, especially since I would love to see A&M play Texas, beat them, and play OU. I think OU obviously is kind of the measuring stick in college softball for everyone. So big game tonight, couple big tennis matches, and then Aggies and Mizzou to cap it off.
Thank you, Billy. See you guys on Monday.